So what's the next news and politics story?
Well, actually, there's nothing else in politics. We covered them both because it was supposed to be on that and political race theory.
Yeah, we're not gonna get to sports because we are running out of time.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're gonna talk about so you want to real quickly react to the Chauvin sentencing?
Yeah. So I didn't watch it. I got a call from my dad. Apparently, he was sentenced to 270 months, and he will serve time. They'll take up time served, which I think has been like 17 months or something like that, 15 months.
Yeah.
That comes out to, like, you said 22 years?
22 years, yeah.
22 years, yeah. And I saw some reaction. You know, what I like to do is go on Twitter, see what people are saying, even though I don't have a Twitter account. I saw some reaction, and a lot of people were upset about the sentencing. They felt like it should have been longer. I don't know, man. Like, and maybe I'm just not a out for blood type of person, but 22 years is a long time. And even if he only serves half of that, 11 years is a long time. Like, that is...
Is he going to be protected too?
Exactly. Like, I mean, yeah, there's that, dark part of it that, he might get shanked in prison. But it's not a small thing to spend, 22 years in jail, right? So
even if he is protected, you're in solitary confinement for 22 years.
Yeah, all these people that are talking about, you should be there for life and all that stuff. I get it. Like, I too am mad that, this happened to George Floyd. He
hasn't been sentenced for everything though.
Oh, okay. Which one was this?
Because he still has some. I believe he still has some civil rights things that he has to answer for. Because remember, he violated his Fourth Amendment right.
Okay, but that would probably just be like monetary damages or something to that effect. But anyway, so
federal.
I
think it might be federal though. Like the civil rights.
Does the civil case come with jail time?
No, I'm saying I think. Yeah, that's a good question considering the type of schooling that I'm in, right? But but no, I think there's still something there that he might get sentenced. I might be wrong. I'll have to look into that.
Okay.
But you said, 22 years is a long ass time.
Yeah. I'm upset about the fact that, like, he put his knee on the guy and he had his hand in his pocket like he was just like chilling, like whatever. Like, there's a guy dying in front of you and he's like trying to assert like, I don't give a crap type of thing.
He's also gonna have to file as a predator.
Okay.
Because of the way that that George Floyd died, because they said he showed absolutely no remorse while George Floyd was begging for his life. So he's going to have to register as a predator.
Yeah. So, like, I'm upset about how the whole thing unfolded, but honestly, like, I'm not gonna be like, 22 years. Oh, he's good enough easy. That's a long time. I've only been alive for 31 years. I think most of my memory is of the last 22 years, right? Like, that is a long time. So
it is a good amount of time. And yeah, look, it might not be the greatest justice, but at least George Floyd got justice or some justice, right? And his daughter got some justice, parents got some justice and all that stuff. I know his mom was crying about it. Man, forget your mom. I don't care about your mom. Like, you didn't lose your son. Your son you can go visit him.
Children's mom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you can go visit your son. Shut up. Nobody cares about you. So, anyways, before we go, I know you wanna. Let's do. Real quickly. We're gonna talk about sports real fast. I know you said you have time. The reason why we don't have time is because we want to go watch these sports.
Right? Watch it. Yes.
But I wanted to talk real quickly. Tell me about what are your feelings about the Hawks? They finally made it to the conference finals. Yeah, this is the second time in like 5 years or so. The Hawks have been here before.
2015, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me give a quick rundown of what happened since we last spoke. So when we last spoke, you might remember I was a little more pessimistic about what's going on because I've been following the Hawks this season. I think it's probably because there was a lack of things to watch because of like COVID and stuff.
There's no soccer for you to watch.
Right. So, like, I watched the Hawks generally, but not like, one after the other like that. But this season, for some reason, I just started watching a lot more. And so I was excited for them going into the playoffs. And And then they beat the Knicks, right? Everyone was like, "Oh, the Knicks are going to beat them." Julius Randle, yada yada. And then they got to the Sixers, and when we spoke last time, the series was 2-1. And I was telling you about how the Sixers defense has been like really. It was 2-1 for the Sixers. Sixers are leading. And I was telling you about the Sixers defense just being really good about swatting down everything and just like really just squeezing them out. And I think it might have been later that night that game 4 happened, or maybe the next day. But game 4 started pretty much the same way the last 2 games have gone. The Sixers were just like snuffing out the Hawks. And we were down as much as like 16 points that game. And the Hawks made an almighty comeback. It was brilliant. It was so good to watch. And they tied up the series 2-2. I was like, well, they can't keep doing this, but they are going back to Philadelphia. Let's see if they can win one day. We got down by 26 points in game 5 and won.
Yeah, I know. That was crazy.
That was the greatest.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, over. We're not. Yeah. And then you texted me and you were like, hey, I was like, oh my God, Trey has been on fire or somebody's been on fire. And I was like, what? I was like, oh, we're like within like 3.
Yeah, that was the greatest Hawks game I have ever watched. Game 5 against the Sixers. It was brilliant.
I know you said that you're not as, even though they're in the lead right now, 1, and we'll see if they're going to be up by 2. You said you're not as optimistic as I was kind of showing, because I was telling you that I feel like they have a different energy now than they did. I think that them beating the Sixers the way they beat them has given them such a boost that I think they're going to ride that high to the NBA Finals.
So, no, here's what I meant. And this will explain why too, right? So what I meant was I'm not as optimistic about the whole stealing home field thing, right? Because they took 1 from Milwaukee, which means now there's only 6 games left, and the Hawks have 3 home games. If they win all 3 home games, they're through. But the reason why I'm not as optimistic is because they were leading 3-2 against the Sixers with a chance to win it at home in Atlanta, and they lost in Atlanta. Yeah. And then they had to go to Philadelphia and win it there, where Trae Young did not have a great game, but Kevin Huerter showed up big. And he had the game of his playoff career. And the Hawks beat the Sixers and went through. So I would rather the Hawks just win both games in Milwaukee, to be honest, because they've shown that they can slip up at home. They did it against the Sixers, and I don't want to just like feel like, okay, because they're at home, they're definitely going to win. But I've been very impressed with this team, man. They're really good. They're really together, as cliche as it is. There's like a brotherhood there. And yeah, it's been fun to watch.
Yeah. Looking for. So we're, like I said, we're about to get off just to do it, but I'm still going to keep Zino on because we have an agenda and I'm going to finish it, damn it. So real quick, I'm going to talk about this, which is so the Oakland Raiders defensive end, Carl Nassib, has recently just come out as being part of the LGBTQ community. I love the way he did it. He just did it like basically saying, yeah, I'm gay, basically I'm gay, deal with it. I'm donating money to the school charity, which I thought was which I was like, all right, cool. You're not, I don't want to say he's not making a big deal of it, but he's basically saying, look, this is who I am. Yeah. F and deal with it and get over it. And I actually was very surprised at the reaction that I saw on Twitter and on Facebook groups that we've been in, where people were actually just basically saying, yeah, dude's gay. Now there was a whole argument. I was like, well, wasn't Michael Sam the first openly gay man to play on a team? I was like, no, he was the first openly gay man to be drafted, but he never made a team because he was cut before the regular season. This is the first active player. I was about to say active the gay man. This is the first active player to come out as gay, which I'm like, you just said it in this episode. Representation matters. And that actually was very important. I really thought that was great because look, now it's going to eventually be to the point where like it doesn't matter if this person, because it used to be a story, right? It used to be a big story. It used to be a big controversy. It used to ruin careers.
Honestly, I think it's a testament to how far we've come that this isn't a big story. Yeah. Like it was maybe in the 24-hour news cycle.
You still have those knuckle draggers who are like, what? They're making a big deal about him being gay. I was like, shut up. It's a big thing trust me, there is a kid who is playing football and is a star athlete and is probably struggling with his sexuality right now. This if that helps them, that's a good thing. If that helps him to realize who he is, where he doesn't have to freaking put a gun to his head because of the things that he's dealing with, like, that's a good thing. So shut up. It's a good thing. It doesn't matter if it's not a big deal to you.
Someone said this guy coming out like he did, like on Instagram, just talking about it, just being open about it, potentially saved lives.
It did.
Right? And people are like, oh, that's like hyperbolic or whatever. But no, you're right about there are people who, the kids who feel suicidal because they feel like they're outsiders because of, you know, who they love, right? And being able to see someone reach the heights of success, be openly gay and not have that be something that defines how far they can go in life or whether people around them respect them and love them, I think that's a massive thing, right? So,
and not only that, but he's doing a quote a man kind of thing, you know, football. This isn't entertainment. He's not singing. He's not performing in arts. No, this dude is he's a football player. He's a normal dude, basically showing, hey, we're normal. We come in different ways, right? Like that. I think honestly, good for him. He did immediately start getting canceled by some people because it turns out he might be Republican, but that's neither here nor there. Look, you can't win them all, but yeah. So, but I thought that was pretty. I think it's great. Good for him, and if it helped one person, that's amazing. And seriously, way to go! Congratulations to him for finally telling his truth. One last thing before we go.
Okay, the game started, but all right, go on.
You'll be all right. Damn it. Okay. I just wanted to mention real fast before we go, somebody who has actually he has had a major influence on me. I personally think he is the talk show host of my generation, Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien just recently, basically he ended his last show of Conan. As you know, he's been to 3 different shows, right? He did Late Night, he did The Tonight Show, and then briefly The Tonight Show. And then he's been on Conan for the last 11 years. He decided that he's no longer doing it. He's going to come out with another HBO show. I just got to say, I've always wanted to talk about this. Is not this speech that he did. You could tell the differences between the different speeches. The speech from Late Night, the last speech of Late Night, it was more of like, you know, optimistic because he was moving on to the Tonight Show. The Tonight Show one was a lot more like, I'm in a bad situation right now. This is a bad moment for me. And then this one was just more hopeful. I was like, hey, yeah, look, I came to the end. I ended it my way, right? The second speech that he did after the Tonight Show, I don't know if you've ever seen it. If you haven't, look it up. His Tonight Show last speech, man, it had such an influence on me. I remember when this speech was going to happen, I was supposed to go out with my friends. I had just gone off work. They all went to the club. I was going to go with them. And I just told them, I was like, nah, I'm good. I'll go ahead and go. I just decided, I hopped in the shower. I was wearing a bathrobe. So it was funny because I had gotten my mom this pink bathrobe. She didn't want it. So I kept it. And I had a pink bathrobe on while I was watching Conan. And I listened to his speech. His speech is such a powerful speech because he basically said, look, I'm going through all this stuff, but the one thing I don't like is cynicism. And that actually impacted me a lot because at that point in my life, I could have easily become a stereotypical cynical 20-year-old. But his speech was so powerful that he made me rethink of things of like, look, things might not be going the way that you want them to be, but the way you think them out, the way you think your way out of them is important. Mm-hmm. And you saw how it ended up happening, right? He ended up going to another show, 11 years. He has probably one of the highest rated podcasts now. And then now he's about to go do a show that he can do whatever the hell he wants in that show. So anyways, it was his last show. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that speech. I've always been a big Conan O'Brien fan. He's had a huge impact on my life. My goal on this podcast is for us to get famous enough for us to be a guest on his podcast. If he sends that invitation, I'm gonna go if that can happen. But if not, congratulations, Conan O'Brien, man. I just want to say, if you haven't listened to those farewell speeches, listen to them because they're actually really good. So anyway, that was just my thing. So we can watch the show. Do you have any thoughts on Conan O'Brien's last show?
We'll link those speeches in the comment section for this video. No, I don't have any thoughts. I think he summed it up pretty well. I watched Conan here and there, more so when he was on NBC with Late Night. Not as much for TBS. But no, I'm not gonna step on your toes. That was beautiful, and we're gonna leave that right there. So sign us off, man.
All right. Hey, listen, like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Share. We're on wherever your podcasts are streamed. Obviously, we have the YouTube show. If whatever you want to listen to us, feel free. Zino, it was a good show.
It was. Yeah.
All right. All right, brother.
All right. That's a wrap.